Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV5 News. Welcome in for another episode of Destination Heartland. So today we are headed to Salt City. Yeah, our virtual trip is taking us 3 hours west of Kansas City to Hutchinson, Kansas. And so joining me today right now is Leanne Cox, and she is the Vice President of Operations and Tourism for Visit Hutch. Hey, thanks for joining us here today, Leanne.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for having us.
We are so excited to talk about Hutchinson, Kansas. So, what makes Hutchinson so unique in Kansas?
Well, that is really a hard question to answer, but we are centrally located here with right in the center of the state of Kansas. Um, we're a community of 40,000 people, although we have amenities of a much larger city. It's super easy to get around here in Hutchinson. Any, from one side of town to the other is 15 minutes at the most. And you also have the Wichita Airport, which is a national airport that's only 45 minutes from here. So we really think our location is the first of very many important facets of the community.
Oh, that's fabulous. And, let's talk about, the history of Hutchinson, Kansas. What were some of the key moments that shaped Hutchinson?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It all started with the discovery of salt by Ben Blanchard back in 1887 when he was actually drilling for oil,
Oh,
but instead he discovered salt. And come to find out back then that Hutchinson, as it does today, sits on one of the largest salt deposits in the country. So the salt mining industry is where our roots were really developed. Around 1900s, there was 10 different salt mining industries here located in Hutchinson. We're, as you referenced earlier, we're known as the Salt City. Our local high school is the Hutchinson Salt Hawks, and Carry Salt, among many others, was started right here in Hutchinson.
and that's really neat. So, salt really plays a role in the development of the town here.
Yes, absolutely. It really is a part of our culture here in Hutchinson and across Reno County.
And so, as we continue to talk about history, who are some of the historical figures or legends that locals love to tell about Hutchinson?
Well, we take a great amount of pride in the Dillon's grocery stores.
Oh,
Those were started those were started here in Hutchinson back in, gosh, I think it was 1913 when they first opened their J.S. Dillon store. Of course, that grew and expanded throughout the entire state of Kansas. And then in the 1950s, they started acquiring some of the regional supermarket brands like King Soopers, City Market, and Fry's. So they also included about 300 convenience stores in 5 different states in the central part of the country. And in 1983, Dillon's merged with Kroger,
mm.
and today there's about 65 stores in 30 different cities. So we're really proud of the fact that that all started here in Hutchinson, and we still have a very large presence here for the Dillon's companies.
Yeah, that is interesting. You think about how big Kroger's is now and King Soopers and all the different markets that are connected with that. It is so interesting to think that that all started in
It
Hutchinson.
all
That is,
started.
yeah, that
Yeah.
is really interesting. Okay, so here's the fun part. Let's talk about attractions in Hutchinson because there's a very long list. You guys have a lot of must-sees. One of the things that we already, of course, talked about is the salt mining, which, has shaped much of Hutchinson. But what's really neat is one of the attractions there is that you can actually still see the salt mining.
Oh yeah. Um, it's so unique that it's the one of a kind in North America. It's 650 feet below ground,
Wow.
and you go down with a hard hat and breathing apparatus on, and the elevator opens, and you're in a 68-degree, 40% humidity, constant perfect climate, and it's absolutely beautiful underground with all the sparkling salt walls above your head and on both sides. And um, you would have to literally go to Poland, Germany, Austria, or Switzerland to experience something similar. And today it's known as Stratica, the Kansas Underground Salt Museum. So it first opened in May of 2007. So in the world of attractions, it really is a newer attraction for the state of Kansas.
And that is so neat because, as you said, how many feet underground? 600
650.
650. Just that trip alone is an attraction itself.
Yes, absolutely. And it only takes 70 seconds to go from ground level down
Oh
650
my
feet.
goodness.
And it's pitch dark, but if anybody has an aversion to that, there's a light on the helmets that they can always turn on. And it to think about the depth, it's the same amount of space down that the St. Louis Arch is up.
Wow, that's incredible. And I would think that
Yeah.
this is an attraction for the entire family. I mean, adults all the way down to kids, they have to love this from not only the trip down to the mine itself, but as you said, once you get down there, it's beautiful.
Absolutely. And it really is a family attraction. Although there is an age limit, there's a cutoff at age 4. You have to be at least 4 years old. But once you hit that, it is big, open, beautiful space. They have exhibits down there. They have pieces of equipment that have been there since the salt mines were first started. It's still an active salt mine, so at times when the attraction is not open, there'll be demolition with dynamite that is,
Oh, wow.
creating the salt that they're then taking out in truckloads and delivering that in the form of road salt all across the country. And there's also a private business that is down 650 feet below ground, and that is called Underground Vaults and Storage. And they store Hollywood movies, they store government documents, they store just about anything you could imagine that needs that constant 68 degrees and 40% humidity to keep it intact.
That is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Something else that's completely fascinating. This is what caught my attention about Hutchinson, which is the cosmosphere. This kind of, to me, it sounds like, do you remember that movie Space Camp a while
Yeah.
back? That was one of
Yeah.
my favorite movies as a kid. So this kind of, it seems like this would be that kind of experience.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the most asked questions we get is why Hutchinson?
Hmm.
And it really the answer is why not? Because it started literally as a dream of Patty Carey's, and she's from the Carey Salt family.
Mm.
In the early 1960s, she turned a planetarium. Um, she created a planetarium in a poultry building on the fairgrounds. That's where it started. They've obviously expanded and are in a location that they're about to celebrate 60 years.
Wow.
And they house the largest collection of space artifacts outside the Smithsonian Institute. So it's a phenomenal place. We have people from all over, not only the United States, but other countries. It really is an international draw for the entire state of Kansas. And not only does it talk about the space race here in the United States, but it tells the Russian space race better than Russia does because they have so many of the Russian space artifacts. So that's something that, of course, we're very, very proud of.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because when you talk about space, your mind automatically goes to Florida, where Cape Canaveral is. But that is so neat that we have that connection right here in Kansas in our own backyard. Talk a little bit about the experience of, are there hands-on exhibits and things like that that kids can get into there?
Yes, absolutely. Kids and school groups specifically come in busloads
Mm.
every spring, and um, it's a great environment to walk in the front door and you just see 50 kids doing 20 different things. Um, but literally, when you walk in, for those that have never visited there, you walk into the main entrance and you are standing underneath a flown SR-71 Blackbird. They constructed this building after they put the Blackbird on the three pillars. Then they built the building around it. So that, in addition to um, a fighter jet that's in the lobby, and then
Mm.
also built into the wall is a life size of one of the space shuttles. So we're just at this point we're just standing in the lobby. We haven't even done anything yet, and that's your first impression. And then of course there's multiple levels. The Hall of Space Museum is in the basement, and that just recently this last year they completed a complete renovation in the museum. So that is an incredible story, and it kind of takes you a timeline through of the space race down in the
Hmm.
museum. And then they have Dr. Goddard's lab, they have laser light shows, they have, it started out as an IMAX theater. Now it's just a high def digital theater um, with a big 140-foot dome. It's, again, why in Hutchinson? Why not in Hutchinson?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a must-see attraction there for sure. The other thing that is another must-see attraction I know is the Kansas State Fair. Hutchinson is home to the Kansas State Fair.
We sure are, and we are so proud of that. I believe, if my math is right, we just concluded our 112th state
Whoa.
fair this last month. It's been here since 1913, and that was made possible by the Carey family again, Emerson Carey. When he was a state senator, he convinced the legislature that Hutchinson needed to be the official home of the State Fair of Kansas, and it was. So we have held that every year since then. It consists of 75 different buildings, over 285 acres of land, and it's right in the center of our community. It's not out in the county or, outside of the the main part of town. It really is right on Main Street.
Oh,
So we love that. It's 10 days every September, the first Friday after Labor Day, and it really transforms our community for those 10 days to 2 weeks. And for the most part, it's all great. Of course, the roads are a little bit more busy, and there's some dust that kicks up, but they will typically have about between 300,000 and 350,000 attendants those 10 days of our state fair. So that's a lot of activity um, condensed into 10 days.
yeah, no kidding. 10 days, all that activity. But also, what I find that is truly unique is that it happens in the downtown area because most any state fairs is usually out in the country, far away from where the center is.
Right. And that's what's so unique. And there's great things about that, like I mentioned, but there's also the fact that that kind of landlocks them.
Hmm.
They have 285 acres, but because it's in the center of town, it makes it really, really difficult to expand and grow. They've done a good job. They do everything they can to expand. Right now they're looking at the possibility one day of the racetrack going away, and those 20 acres would be developed into something different. But then there's the racing community that loves our dirt track that's a half-mile oval that's pretty unique.
Yeah.
So there's pluses and minuses, but overall it's a huge contributor to our overall economy.
Awesome. All right, so we have just scratched the surface of Hutchinson, Kansas. We have so much more to get into, but right now, what we want to do is take a quick break. We'll be right back. And welcome back to another episode of Destination Heartland. So, today we are taking a virtual trip to Hutchinson, Kansas. Boy, I got to tell you, this is such an interesting location. And we've only talked about the three big attractions in town. There's still so much to get into. So, I'm going to go ahead and bring back in Leanne Cox. Okay, Leanne, we talked about the salt mines, Stratica, the Cosmosphere, and Kansas State Fair, but honestly, we have so much more to dig into in all the different attractions there are in Hutchinson.
There really are, and that's what makes my job so fun.
Uh-huh.
Is really all the amenities and opportunities that we offer as a community to bring in visitors, not only from the state of Kansas but regionally. And of course, that includes the Kansas City market. It's an easy 3.5 hour drive, so we want folks to take advantage of that and come visit anytime they are available to. We do have a lot of different attractions here in Hutchinson. We have the Fox Theater, which is here in downtown Hutchinson. It's a historic Art Deco theater from the 1930s. We have Dillon Nature Center, which of course came from the Dillon family. They started that, and it's an outdoor nature center that's beautiful. It's got a small pond for fishing and every outdoor advantage you can think of. We have the Hutchinson Zoo, which is a part of Cary Park, part of the Cary family, and it's a free attraction, which is very unusual. And then they also have a train that kids can take a ride on for about a $2 or $3 fee. Downtown, we have our Reno County Museum, which has made great strides here in the last couple of years to update their artifacts that they have. So, I mean, the list just goes on and on, but we, again, are really proud. We have Hutch Putt, which is an outdoor miniature golf, and we have the Alley, which is bowling alley and entertainment center that also has laser tag and video games and cosmic bowling and a restaurant and lounge. And there really is sometimes it's hard to decide what to do here in Hutchinson.
Yes, so much family fun, it sounds like. I mean, the list is truly endless. What are some of the local gems there that people may not necessarily know about?
Well, some of those hidden gems tend to be some of our restaurants, I have found, and I've been born and raised here, so I've spent my entire life here, and really it often comes down to little restaurants like Roy's Barbecue. You know, they're only open certain hours of the day. They stay open until they run out of food, and then they close their doors.
Oh,
You know, it's a very small little place, but when we have people come into town, they've heard about Roy's, they have to go and experience Roy's. So that's kind of one of those unique little hidden gems that not everybody knows about, but once you find out, then you will come back to Hutchinson just to go there.
and so, you talked a little bit about the restaurant scene. What about arts and culture? Is there also an arts and culture scene there in Hutchinson that maybe some of our art aficionados want to check out if they're out there visiting?
Yeah, you bet. Hutchinson has come a long way in the last probably 10 years or so in the culture, outdoor, the arts and culture experiences. We've got over 40 murals across the community, and we ourselves here at Visit Hutch and with our Chamber of Commerce, we just completed about 1,000 square foot mural here on our building in downtown Hutchinson last
Wow.
month. And selfishly, I have to think that it's one of the more beautiful murals in town. And we have a lot of beautiful murals. We also did a couple of murals ourselves out on the state fairgrounds on our visitor information building, one on the east side, one on the west side. So I think that has sparked some interest from the state fair to maybe do some of their own murals out there too. So it's just a great quality of life thing that any community, if possible, if they can get the funding, the support, murals are they're just a feel good type of thing for a community.
Yeah, for sure. And something else that's a feel good type of thing for a community. And I know there's got to be a number of just festivals and events throughout the year that are specifically, Hutch, right? Hutchinson, a lot of locals just call it Hutch.
Yep, is what we're known as, yes. And probably one of the more popular, well known festivals, and it's only about 12 ish years old, is our Smallville Festival.
Mm.
We had some local members of the community 15 years ago or so decided that there were so many similarities between Clark Kent's hometown of Smallville and Hutchinson that that needed to be our identity. And so every year in June, we change our name from Hutchinson to Smallville for
Oh,
that 3 or 4 day period and have a festival. And it's everything related to Superman and Clark Kent. We have everybody with those Clark Kent glasses standing on Main Street, and a drone will come and take a picture of 500 people looking like Clark Kent. You name it, and we've done it. We've done a 5K race underground during Smallville that people have worn their Superman capes. There's no end to the passion that some folks around here in this part of the state have for Smallville and all things Superman.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And, that's just one of the many festivals and events.
Yeah, there are so many. We have a sunflower festival in August every year. It's located in Buhler, which is a small town right outside of Hutchinson here in Reno County. They have over 20 acres of sunflowers, and then they have walking trails that go throughout all of the sunflowers. It's absolutely beautiful. And that's typically, depending on the weather, but typically in the month of August for about 3 weeks. So that really brings people in. Um, yeah, there's just so many. There's an annual rodeo. The Pretty Prairie
Oh,
Rodeo
yeah.
is also here in Reno County, and it's one of considered the largest night rodeo in the state. It's
Oh,
every July.
interesting.
It'll bring 200 to 250 cowboys, professional PRCA cowboys, into the community, and up to 20,000 spectators for that 4 day event. So that's always a fun one to circle on the calendar each year.
I imagine that there has to be a ton of fun around Christmas. There has to be some great holiday festivals there in Hutchinson, too, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have started about 3 years ago an outdoor night lighted Christmas parade, and that's down Main Street in downtown Hutchinson. And it's been so overwhelmingly received by the community. We always had a 10 a.m. in the morning Christmas parade right after Thanksgiving, and now we're doing it on the first Saturday in December at, I don't know, 6 o'clock at night when
Oh,
it's, dark and everything's lit up. The floats are lit up. The cars are lined with people sitting outside in their chairs, wrapped up in blankets, drinking hot cider, and
mm,
it's just a really cool, fun family atmosphere and a great opportunity for the community to get together and be in that holiday spirit. We also, in addition to that, have something that's been going on well over 40 years, and that's what's called our Hyde Park Luminary.
mm.
And that happens the Saturday before Christmas. And it's a neighborhood here in Hutchinson. Again, it's right off of Main Street on the north end of Main Street. And it's probably about a 6 block square area. And every home in that area will have bags of sand and candles that line their driveways, line the sidewalk, line the streets. Um, Houses are lit up with beautiful Christmas decorations. A lot of people will have parties and just open their doors to community members that are walking through the luminary area. There's a little park in the central part there of Hyde Park, and they have horse carriage rides and warm drinks and Christmas carol singing. It's just really another cool, fun event.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so amazing. So, with all of these, things to do, what I love about Hutchinson is that it sounds like it's a truly unique experience when you visit there. So, I always ask this, what is the best time of year to visit there?
Well, if any indication, given by our current visitors,
Uh-huh.
they tend to come a lot in the summer. Obviously, school's out, and there's so many family activities to do. That really is, to a lot of people, the best time. But it again would depend on, are you coming to town for a specific event or something that's seasonal that, like we've talked about. So there's really not a bad time.
Mhm.
There's a couple of times on our calendar when it's a little difficult to get a hotel room. So we might want to avoid those times. And I would say those would be in March when we host National Basketball Championship,
Mhm.
September when we host the state fair. Although we still want people to come to the state fair, you just might have to stay in a neighboring community like McPherson or Newton or maybe even Wichita. But um, so things like that, it'll depend on what type of traveler you are, and if you're coming for a specific event. But otherwise, families tend to come in droves in the summertime.
It sounds like it's just such a fun place. I mean, we talked about, the Smallville Festival and just so many unique things to do there. What I also love about Hutchinson, too, is we talked about it being a 3 hour drive west of Kansas City, but I was looking it up and you can actually take the train there, which is another bonus to me.
It is, and you know what? I have myself done that very recently. The Amtrak, jumped on it at Union Station there in Kansas City,
Hmm.
and it stops here in Hutchinson, right on Main Street in downtown Hutch, and it's a really nice, easy way to get from Kansas City out here out west. And then if you want to stay on the train, it continues on out to Dodge City and Garden City and then on into Colorado. So I just love traveling by train, and
Hmm.
I think it's really a bonus for us that we have that opportunity. We have FIFA coming up next summer up in the from the Kansas City market, and we're
Yes.
hoping that some of those international visitors will get on the Amtrak from Kansas City and spread out through the entire state of Kansas, because they're going to have a lot of time, a free time, and hopefully they'll want to see the state and not just, up in the northeast part of Kansas. So Amtrak is a plus for us.
Absolutely. And if they do decide to hop on the train and go to Hutchinson, they will certainly have a lot to see there. This is just awesome. Leanne, we thank you so much for joining us here today. Is there anything else that we missed that you want people to know about Hutchinson?
Well, as of today at 8 a.m., we opened our newest hotel. It's a full service Hilton Garden Inn. So we have 112 additional hotel rooms, and that's been
Wow.
a long time coming. So we are super excited about that.
Oh, that is exciting. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Destination Heartland. Well, that does it for this episode of Destination Heartland. Hutchinson sounds amazing. I definitely want to get out there. Hey, so our next trip, of course, comes up next week. New episodes drop every Tuesday, so hopefully you'll join us then. Until then, bye. I'm Sharon Chen for KCTV 5 News.